Welcome to Fantasy Football Court. We are four regular guys talking all things fantasy football. Unlike some other shows, we only talk about fantasy football. We make our arguments, we present our cases, and you are the judge. We are all in the same fantasy football league. The people are real, the league is real, and the trash talking is real. Court is now in session. Welcome again to Fantasy Football Court. My name is Charles.
My name is Andrew.
My name is Nick.
And I'm Jeremy.
Today we're going to look at the Green Bay Packers. And we're going to put them on the stand. We're going to examine them and cross-examine them and look at all the different positions for fantasy football. Before we start with the breakdown of every position, we're just going to give an overview of what we think of the team. I'm going to start with Andy first on this. What's your just the initial thoughts of the Green Bay Packers?
Give me a cheesehead.
Give you a cheesehead.
I like the Packers as a team, but I think they have a lot of fantasy options. I do. We got the Aaron Rodgers. We got
That's an option.
yeah.
He's all right.
He's a good option, but some of the wide receivers and stuff, I do. I like the Packers.
I'm not as
They've
high
helped
on
me in
them.
the past.
Yeah, I like some Aaron Rodgers, but he burnt me last year, so I'm not as high on Aaron
Jordan
Rodgers.
Nelson.
How did he burn you? He was the number one overall fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, but the first part of the season, I don't want to really get into all that right now.
He wants Leonard Fournette quarterback.
Yeah.
I do like me some Leonard Fournette. Go watch a Jacksonville video and you'll understand why. I said I like Aaron Rodgers. I just don't love Aaron Rodgers. I don't want to, make a commitment to Aaron Rodgers as early as I did last year. I'll let you take over.
It all begins with Aaron Rodgers, and all flows through him.
I think the cheesehead has a lot of holes in it this year.
Yeah, I do too. All right, let's go ahead and break down the positions. And since we're already talking about Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback, being one of the most important positions, I remember a couple of years ago when he went down, they brought in their backup quarterback, and they were awful.
Matt Flynn.
They were terrible, and that quarterback goes to show you that one position can affect. Like, I know we're not talking about the Steelers, but when Ben Roethlisberger goes down there, Antonio Brown's numbers plummet. So Aaron Rodgers is definitely the key to this team. And I'll start with Nick first on this with the quarterback. Your initial thoughts on Aaron Rodgers.
He's the number one fantasy quarterback, and I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be.
You got him number one?
Number one fantasy quarterback. Now, I don't usually draft
quarterbacks. Like I didn't hear it. Anyway.
I don't draft quarterbacks high, so that's the thing about it. He's going to go in the second, third round.
Somebody will take him.
Somebody's going to take him. I don't pick a quarterback. Don't even look at the quarterbacks to the seventh round. So.
Ouch. Jeremy?
I don't know that I'm quite number one overall QB, but he's got to be in your top three if you know anything about fantasy football. Like Nick said, though, my strategy does not have me picking a quarterback in the first 4 or 5 rounds. And Aaron Rodgers is going to be gone probably round 2, 3. Mm-hmm. Somebody's going to take him there.
And have a solid quarterback.
And they will. But when you look at things, here's what you've got to look at. You've got to look at separation value.
Right.
When I do my draft, I always look at, if I draft a quarterback round 2 and I can get one in round 7, is there enough point separation between the one I draft in round 2 versus the one I can get in round 7 to justify taking him in round 2? I don't think that you're going to have that in the quarterback situation.
You got Derek Carr this year. You got Tampa Bay's Winston.
Jameis Winston.
Mariota.
The quarterback position this year
is loaded.
Is as deep as it's been in a long time.
I agree.
I would say talk him up real big on your fantasy thing, push him, and then let somebody else take him, and you get you a good quality running back or wide receiver.
Yeah. If Aaron Rodgers isn't your number one quarterback, who is?
I think it depends on health. I think if Andrew Luck is healthy, that he has the ability this year to be number one.
What about Tom Brady?
Tom Brady always is in that mix.
Yeah.
As number one. I'm a huge Derek Carr fan. I think this year Derek Carr could have the best year of his life.
Yeah, I agree.
So you never told me who's your number one.
I haven't really looked to put down
really?
the number one yet. Let me rephrase that. I've got it listed in another notebook, but
we're
they
gonna
drugged me off the golf course today to do this, so my notebook is in my office.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks since we've made some videos, and we've had we've had some requests for some more videos. We're trying to get out some videos. What's your thought on Aaron Rodgers?
No, we want to know what's so funny.
What's going on here?
What's going on?
It's gonna throw a bomb on us right in the middle of the show. I like Aaron Rodgers.
Well,
but
me
I have
too.
him
We
number
like
one.
him too.
Listen, 40 touchdowns last year. 40 touchdowns.
That's
There's
all.
only been 8.
That is a lot of fantasy football points.
There's only been 8 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL that's threw over 40.
40 touchdowns, 4,428 passing yards.
You take him in the second,
I want
third
some
round?
Aaron Rodgers.
The second, third round?
I don't know about that early, but
Somebody
You
will
can
take
draft
balls.
Aaron Rodgers right after your dad drafts Leonard Fournette.
I'll get him right there in the first round. I like Aaron Rodgers,
I mean,
and
I like him too, but
you know,
I
I
mean-
just.
I'm not taking him in the first 4 rounds.
But
I
for
can't.
me, because
I
of,
can't.
because of
I will- I
because
will
of
look
the
at him in the
numbers,
fifth.
because of the numbers he puts up, though, I'm gonna try to get him off the board before quarterbacks start dropping.
Yeah, if you're going to make a run on quarterbacks, he's definitely.
I
Would
mean,
you take him over
Because
Tom
of
Brady?
yes,
Oh, there's
You
no
have
doubt
him as your
about it.
number one.
I have him as my number one this year.
Okay.
I have Brady Breeze. Brady is my number 1. Breeze is my number 2.
And all
And
those
Aaron
guys are
Rodgers
right there
is my
together.
number
I mean,
two.
it
I have
looks
Rodgers.
like elite
I have Brady
quarterbacks,
at
and then you got the rest
I'm
of
not
them.
buying Brady as much this year.
Well, we're
How
gonna,
can you not buy a
We're gonna get-
perennial top
we're going to
quarterback?
get into the
He is
positions.
40 years
We're going to
old.
get off the
40
Green Bay
years
Packers
old.
now. We're getting
And
into
Aaron
quarterbacks.
Rodgers is 33 years old.
Aaron Rodgers, 33. He is in his prime.
I'm Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers
I'm higher
all
probably
the way.
on Aaron Rodgers than
Don't
Jeremy
listen to
is.
Kenny.
But you know, I'm not going to draft a quarterback high, so it don't really matter.
All right, so we're all, we're saying as far as quarterback goes, Aaron Rodgers is definitely in that upper tier. I don't,
And we're hoping Brett Hundley doesn't get hurt so we can keep bringing him his water.
There you go. There you go. So
That
it just
water boy.
depends on where you feel comfortable picking a
I
quarterback.
don't. But here's my negative against Rodgers. I don't think he has the running back help to keep defenses honest.
And that's the next position we're about to get into.
He doesn't need him.
And Jeremy, well,
He really doesn't. He didn't have one last year.
He doesn't
That's
need
true.
He
him.
don't need it.
It helps though. If you got somebody to keep the defense honest, I mean, if they're just not going to rush the,
If
stop
they,
the
if
run
they
and they're
can
going to
set
defend the
back
pass,
in the nickel
Yes,
defense
it's hard
and
to-
have
it's
an
hard to
extra
throw.
DB out there,
Right.
that's why last year that if you go back and look at Aaron Rodgers' stuff, he had more check down passes last year than ever. Now, granted, they turned out because evidently the NFL's forgot how to tackle, but he did have more check down because they were running primarily nickel defenses or putting an extra man over the top. I think that's going to happen as long as they have a wide receiver playing running back for
Yeah,
them.
but he could fall down in the middle of the field and throw it to Richard Rodgers for
yeah.
a
He,
touchdown.
I mean, he could roll out and just chunk it up there. Somebody's gonna
Let's
catch
move
it.
on
He
to the
got
next
29
position.
last year.
They got rid of Eddie Lacy last year, and so their backfield is a group of unproven, group of uncertain players that we just really don't know what they're going to do with this. I'm going to start with Nick on the running
I
back.
want to hear what Jeremy has to say first.
PPR leagues, you got to be half happy with Ty Montgomery because he can catch the ball because he's a wide receiver by trade. Last year, though, he only had 457 rush yards on 77 carries. That does not leave a whole lot to be desired there. The two guys they got Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones. I'm not sold on anybody that they have. Ty Montgomery, be your best bet for them. Obviously, somebody's got to take him. I would take him in a PPR league to have. I would equate him to maybe like probably the same numbers as somebody like possibly a Gio Bernard or somebody that's mainly a receiving type quarterback. I just don't think Montgomery's going to be. I got a feeling Nick thinks Ty Montgomery is going to have the best year and be this year's version of Ezekiel Elliott, but I just don't see it.
I love Ty Montgomery this
Love.
year. In a PPR league, I want Ty Montgomery. He last year he was just thrown into the running back role. He was a receiver half the season. He was just thrown into the running back role. One week he's in the wide receiver meetings. Next week he's in the running back meetings. Now he's had a whole offseason to actually learn the role of a running back.
But
And he
physically,
looked-
can he handle it?
That-
He's
that-
still a wide
that is the
receiver
only
body
question.
trying to play a running back position.
Well, he's built more like a running back than a receiver anyway.
6 foot 216.
Yeah, that's
Not quite.
Your running backs is around 220, 225. He's maybe a little bit smaller. He's not that much smaller. I think he's had a whole off season to learn the running back position. I think he's going to have a huge year. I think I think he's going to do good. He's going to take pressure off Aaron Rodgers. They're going to give into. They're going to throw to him a lot because he's, a natural receiver. So I think he fits better as a running back than he does as a receiver anyway.
Something that helps bolster your case is they got rid of Eddie Lacy.
Yeah,
they must have seen something in him.
They got rid of Eddie Lacy. They got rid of James Starks, and which they did draft Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. But they waited to the 4th round to take a running back when you had Dalvin Cook out there and Joe Mixon, and you had all these running backs. But they waited. I think they believe in Ty Montgomery, and I do too.
All right, your thoughts?
I like Ty Montgomery, and you said 457 rushing yards. It was only 77 attempts.
Yeah,
I mean, 'cause they threw him in. So for what he did while he was in there, I was impressed.
Yeah, for
and
a
he's had
while.
a whole year. I agree with Nick. I don't know if I like him as well. I don't know if I love him, but
He's an RB2.
but I like Ty
That's not
Montgomery.
bad.
I would
Well, I
want
agree with
him
that.
as my prime running back.
I
He
mean,
would be.
You're not taking him in the first 2 rounds.
I would have him as
Well,
my
I
RB2
don't think so.
slash RB3, the backup. If you do have a flex position,
Talking about
Ty Montgomery
like
would
late round
be a
2, early 3rd.
no. Or my RB2, my running back 2.
Yeah.
That would be probably round 3, 4-ish. Let's see. I take a while according to where my draft position falls.
Which we find out this
But
Thursday in our league.
He's the man for Green
Yeah.
Bay.
Yeah, you have to.
So
you
far,
have
it
to.
doesn't look like there's going to be a
Eddie
committee.
Lacy was the man for Green Bay for a little while
Well, he
last
had
year.
James
didn't have
Starks.
before that.
He couldn't lose weight though.
Yeah.
I just
He lost weight
Green
with
Bay.
Seattle.
I don't think
Yeah,
Green
he did
Bay's
with Green
system
Bay.
is set
Didn't know that
up.
coffee out there.
I think Green Bay is kind of giving up
All
on the
I
running
need-
back position,
all I need
and
him
I
to
think
do-
they're focusing more on we
I
have.
think Jeremy's onto something.
I think they said, you know what, we got probably arguably the best quarterback in the league with a budding young wide receiver core that's got some talent in it, and I think that they said, you know what, who needs a running back
And
when
Eddie
we
Lacy,
have
bruiser.
when we have the ability to pass the ball on anybody. So I think they just said, you know what, forget it. We've got Ty Montgomery. He's serviceable. He'll work. Why put the finances into a top running back when we don't have to?
So they
Well, that's
didn't
what I was
draft a
about.
high one and they let Eddie Lacy
I was
go.
about to say about Ty Montgomery, he just needs to keep Aaron Rodgers safe so he can. chuck-
That's going to be a
so he
big
can chuck
thing.
40
Can
touchdowns
Ty
for me.
Montgomery pass block?
Well, they must think so. He's
He's
back there.
he's their guy. Even if he can't pass block, they can throw him out to. They can throw a little dump passes to him, and he can go and get him in space. He's a playmaker, and he's not going to get the touches of these top these Melvin Gordon, the LaShawn McCoy, all these top running backs, David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell. He's not going to get them kind of touches, but he's going to get enough touches to be a great fantasy running back this year.
Is there nobody else back there that we feel like is even worth mentioning?
Jamal Williams, could see him getting some goal line carries if
But
they
he mainly
wanted.
just takes. You don't see any of these other guys being draftable.
They got a kid out of UTEP, a kid out of BYU. I don't think either one of their offensive systems fit what Green Bay's going to do.
Nope.
All right, let's move on to the next position, that being the wide receiver, the people that Aaron Rodgers is mainly going to throw to. And I'll start with Jeremy first on this one. What are your thoughts on
I think they've got 3 wide receivers that are all draftable. Jordy Nelson, I really like. I would not have a problem with Jordy Nelson as my wide receiver 1. Then you have Randall Cobb, who, if he can stay healthy, has proven in years past to be very talented, very good. But he also has proven to be very enigmatic.
Right.
Up and down, off and on.
Not
so
consistent, right.
not consistent at all. So he does scare me. I think Devontae Adams is a solid wide receiver too. As crazy as this sounds, I don't know that I would be upset if I was able to get Devontae Adams and Jordy Nelson both on my team.
Wow. Nick?
Yeah, the only one I really care for on this, the receivers, they're all great receivers. But the only one I care for is maybe Devontae Adams. I mean, he's a younger receiver. Which last year he had 12 touchdowns, which is great. I don't see him repeating that. He had 800 yards and 12 TDs. He was a top, I think, 10, 12 fantasy receiver last year, but most of it was off of touchdowns. I don't see him repeating that, but I see him being up there is around the same, just more yardage, more receptions, more targets. I think he's going to be. I think he's going to take a little bit from Jordy Nelson. I don't really like Jordy Nelson this year. I mean, I think he's going to take a big step back. I think he was a top 5 fantasy receiver last year, but I just don't see him repeating
He's
that.
going pretty high in the average draft.
He's
right now.
going into the first round, starting the second.
Thoughts on the receivers?
I think they have some good receivers, but Green Bay spreads the ball out so much.
It is, yeah.
It's just going to be week to week as far as fantasy points.
And they
go.
also-
They
Somebody's
pass
gonna
it
go
so
off.
much though.
Somebody's
Yeah.
going to go.
If they spread
do.
it, if they spread out 40 receptions a game
That's still a lot of
among
catches.
3 receivers or 4 receivers counting Martellus Bennett,
Right.
let's go 5. 3 wide receivers, Martellus Bennett, Ty Montgomery. If he completes 40 passes a game, that's 8 per.
But
I'm okay with that.
it could be heavy towards one of those guys one game and heavy towards another game.
Right.
You know, it's just throughout the whole year it's spread out quite a bit.
Yeah.
But again, they're getting the passes. So.
Yeah, with the addition of Martellus Bennett, I think that's going to take some
Oh, yeah.
targets away from Jordy Nelson.
Well, let's
a
go
lot,
right into that.
especially in the red zone, and
Let's
that's
go-
where they went to him a lot.
Well, let's go right into that. I think we all discussed the wide receiver positions. They've got 3 good options here. We don't really see anybody else cutting into those other than those 3 that we mentioned. All right, what do we think about the tight end position? I'll start with Nick first on this.
I like Martellus Bennett this year. This is the first time in probably a good while that Aaron Rodgers actually has a decent tight end on his team, a good receiving threat at tight end. So the thing about it is he hadn't had one in so long. How much is he going to target him? That's where I have no idea. I was like, it's a huge question mark. But he has potential to be a top 5, top 10 tight end this year if Aaron Rodgers targets him a lot. But if you don't, you don't know, because it's been a while since he's had a good tight end. So I really don't know where to value him.
Jeremy, thoughts on the tight end?
Martellus Bennett, when you look at him, you immediately want to think of the explosive Martellus Bennett of years past. Last year he struggled off and on with injuries. He was overshadowed by Gronk, but Gronk was injured for 10 games. So you would think if you're going to plug somebody into Gronk's position that's talented, he'd have a monster year. And while Martellus Bennett had a decent year, he didn't have great numbers. So I would be hesitant on him. I would say Martellus Bennett falls in that 3rd level of tight ends, somewhere in the bottom half of tight ends. I would be somewhere in that 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 range.
Yep. Thoughts on the tight end?
The same thing. I don't really have anything to add to that.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna. It just depends on how they use him. I mean, it could
Yeah.
be.
Well, yeah,
It
no
could be
idea.
somebody that you're like, I gotta have them. You know, when you start the season, but starting off, you just don't know how they're gonna use them.
The Lance Kendricks guy, is that the guy that was with the Rams last year?
Yes, they had.
I am high on him. I watched him last year, and I really thought he'd be more of a producer for the Rams. Of course, their quarterback situation didn't really develop much last year. I think he's got a potential to cut into some time here. I really liked him when I watched
And
him
he's
play.
from Wisconsin.
What's that got to
He's
do
going
with
back
it?
All the time he wrote.
Cheesehead? Yeah.
He's going back home,
Going
man.
back home. All right. But I was very impressed. He's a good sized kid, and he can play some tight end. I'm surprised to see him with the Packers. All right, let's go to the next position, and that would be the defense. Is that right? That we
Yeah,
cover
defense.
next. All right. Any thoughts on the defense?
I don't have any initial thoughts on defense now.
No.
I think they're.
They
I think they're probably towards the bottom half of the middle of the road.
They did, like, I guess they drafted a lot of defensive players in the draft, but it's nothing to really make a huge difference. Because if I'm looking at them, I'm looking to play them, because I want that receiver that's going against Green Bay's defense like it was last year. I don't see much of an improvement.
Jeremy, thoughts on
And
defense?
that's the same. They do get a couple of cornerbacks that they lost for the year last year and injuries. They'll get them back because you have to remember their number 1 cornerback last year was a kid that I think was not even drafted. So he graded out as their number 1 cornerback last year because of injuries. He was the kid, if you remember, that called Julio out before the playoff game, said he was going to shut him down, and Julio then turned around and had a monster game against them. Who happens to be from Montgomery, Alabama, by the way, the kid is.
Okay.
But I don't see a whole lot of greatness there. I think they get a little bit better, but there's still somebody that you play in matchups.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not going to take up any more time with talking about the defense much. If it's a good matchup for me, if they're playing a weak team and I've got a good matchup and they're available, I may pick them up. But I don't really focus too much on defenses. The next position I don't focus a whole lot on either. I will say this about a kicker. Me personally, I try to stick with a dome kicker just because of the weather, the wind, the rain, all that kind of things. And I was a kicker in high school, and you just like conditions that are right for kicking. And man, you're talking about Lambeau Field. You're talking about cold weather, whatever. But any thoughts on the kicker?
Well, Mason Crosby's a top
Good
10
kicker.
kicker.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
good kicker.
yeah.
But he's in the conditions, the elements. He's made at least 81% of his field goal attempts in 4 straight seasons.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if you're like he's been there for how long?
Forever.
Yeah, so he's used to kicking in those conditions. So
Yeah,
I don't
he is.
really
Yeah.
buy.
But still, it's not.
Oh, I wouldn't mind having him. I'm just, I'm not.
I think he'd be a matchup.
I don't overthink a kicker position.
Right.
Yeah.
Jeremy, thoughts?
Kicker.
Yeah, kicker.
Kicker.
All right.
Kickers.
We're going to run down real quick on our initial or our final thought on the Green Bay Packers. We've talked about the quarterbacks, the running back, or the quarterback, running backs, wide receivers, tight end, and all those different things.
I'm gonna give me a cheese head I can wear when I'm watching Aaron Rodgers play.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is somebody
Is he
to
gonna be on
have.
your fantasy team when you do that?
If he's at the
Hope
right
so.
place, I'll take him.
I want him.
I want him, but I'm not going to take him in the first 4 rounds.
And he will be gone in the first.
And he probably will.
He'll be
And
going
you know
in
what? The
probably-
guy,
Andrew will take him in
the
round
guy that
2.
picks him will have a pretty consistent player. But I'm telling you, I had him last year, and for the first half of the season, or at least first 30% of the season, he was very disappointing. He wound up to come on in the later half, but I don't like these players that takes a while to get going, and I think Aaron Rodgers is one of the. But I think he has 3 healthy receivers this year, where I think he struggled last year, so he may come out of the box. He could. Is there anybody here who would be shocked if he was the number 1 quarterback this year?
No.
No,
I'm
I have
not.
him the number 1 quarterback
Okay.
again. So
Can you ever be shocked? If that would be like saying you'd be shocked if Tom Brady wins another Super Bowl.
Right. But if I was to tell you, would you be shocked if Marcus Mariota led the league in everything? You'd say, yeah, I'm shocked.
But you're dealing with a different skill
But
level.
that's
is what I'm
the
saying.
point I'm making is Aaron Rodgers is that type of person that nobody would be surprised if he
Right.
really did
he's
excel.
proven.
He's a
so.
proven player in fantasy football, and has been for many years.
Yeah, it all flows through Aaron Rodgers. If he gets hurt, you're looking
Oh,
at
that
you're,
team's-
you're looking at a hurting on your fantasy team.
Yeah. If you got anybody else on that team, Jeremy, any thoughts?
Pray you have somebody in your league like Nick that's going to take Ty Montgomery in round 2 so that you can get a good quality player.
All right, good, well said. If you want to hit us up on social media,
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all the handles are at FF Court.
If you have any questions, anything you'd like to see us cover, anything you'd want to see us address in upcoming episodes, just drop us a message at one of those handles and one of those social media sites, and we'll be more than happy to get back to you.
court is adjourned.